Do you guys remember when I barely did 3-hour streams? BRB doesn't exist. I do have one. I have one right here. I just don't use it. When was the last time that you watched a Tech Syndicate video? Because for me, the last time I actively watched Tech Syndicate was when Wendell was still part of Tech Syndicate. Like a long fucking time ago. That was many years ago at this point. I think I might have seen like one other video since then, but not much. This one got sent to me, and look, I need to watch anything with Linux in the title, and it's probably gonna be a Linux bad video, so I have to watch it. That's the rule. If there is a Linux bad video, you have to watch it, even if it's saying Linux good, but Linux actually bad. So let's find out what he has to say, and then tomorrow I'll watch the Accursed Farms video, unless there's a different one. And then I don't know if I'll watch it because it's 40 minutes long. This one's not 40 minutes long. And we know what happens when I talk about anything. 1080p premium? Yeah, you know what? I'm on the wrong account. I'm on the wrong account, that's why. Yeah, that's the enhanced bitrate version. Anyway, let's see what he has to say.
Well, hello all you Linux beasts. In the last video I was talking about how everyone could probably be just fine using Linux in this day and age, even if you're someone who's like completely new. And I got an
What does he have open here? Heroic Games Launcher, Fedora. I don't know what Fuyin is.
interesting comment that I want to make an entire video about. CSJ Pokey says, Linux cracks me up. Well, the hardcore Linux users, if Linux is so fantastic, why is it only on 3% of PCs? As of March 2024, Linux is on 4% of desktop. Yeah, so how do you like that?
Is this actually a Linux good video? You know what? That makes it even better. We definitely have to watch it then.
Why is it not 20? Why is it not 50? Why is it not all of the computers out there? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. So before we go all the way into that, let me know what distro you're using. And
when did he become a Linux YouTuber? When did this happen? Because I remember when he was like doing like generic tech stuff. I don't know at what point he became a Linux YouTuber. Server space, yes. There is a lot of BSD usage in the server space, so that's not entirely Linux, but yes, a lot of Linux.
Using Linux, I'm curious. Go ahead and put that in the comments. This is also because it's good for the algorithm, because I wanted this video to get out there so we can get a little bit of an audience for this type of video and hopefully make some more. Now, what I've done is I've put together 8 key reasons why I think people just don't use Linux, and I'm going to cover each one of those 8 reasons.
Let's see if they're stupid reasons.
Let me know what I got wrong or what you disagree with.
I will definitely let you know what you got wrong.
Talk about some
Absolutely.
websites and some domains. Today's video is brought to you by Pork Bun. You know, every now and then
Pork Bun ad. Wow, that's not enough one you see often.
I sold myself on this, so yes, I did sell myself on Pork Bun, and there's a few different reasons. Pork Bun is a domain registrar. Right now, you can get a .app, .dev,
it is.
or
Yes, it is.
.foo for just $1.
Pork Bun's nice. I like Pork Bun.
That's it. So if you want to be fancy with your new app, or show off your.
I was watching the video the other day, couldn't finish it. Well, that tells me
that right here. Also,
a lot.
Their regular
I love
domains
that.
are extremely reasonable, like barely any markup over just the standard wholesale prices. But on
I don't use Pork Bun myself, but I use Namecheap. They're both pretty good.
Privacy. So when someone tries to look up your domain to see who owns it, they're not.
If you go to a domain registrar and it doesn't have free whois privacy, don't use that domain registrar. Every good domain registrar should be offering this for free. Free whois privacy. Basically, if you look up a site, right, it will. Your information is attached to the site, like your name, your address, all this other... I don't think your address. Your name, email address, things like that are attached to it. Whois privacy basically is like, instead of giving your information, it provides the domain registrars. Also, I see this right here. I know what that logo is. You're not gonna trick me. I know what that is right there. How many of you know what site this is the logo for? Because he's a naughty. He's naughty. We can't use that.
not going to find your email, your home address, or your phone number. And then you're going to get free SSL certificates, URL forwarding, email forwarding, and they have an easy integration with Cloudflare DNS. There we go. We're going to get this one. If your cart does not automatically update like this one has.
That is for a anime torrenting site.
As you see, this one's already updated to 1. If it says like $24 or whatever, click on apply coupon code appdevfoo1. Click on update your cart. It's going to say, oh, you've already applied it, because we have. And then you can get that for just $1 for the first year. Thanks to them for sponsoring. Now let's get back to it, because we have.
It's Premiere there, so it's like a custom Windows bar, I guess. That's cool.
And then you can get that for just $1 for the first year. Thanks to them for sponsoring. Now let's get back to the matter at hand, shall we?
Yeah, I got distracted by nonsense.
So the first reason why I think people avoid Linux is because it requires effort. And people,
fair?
Have you met people? Have you been outside? Well, that's probably a tough question. Have you gone anywhere? Have you gone to the grocery store? Have you met other humans? Humans don't like to do things, I've learned. I mean, there are some who do like 90% of the work. I feel like a lot of the people watching this channel, we're probably the ones who do a lot of stuff. Like, if it's your job, are you the one who does 90% of the work? And everyone else like jerks around and you're like, yeah, I'm going to get all this stuff finished. And then they're like, yay.
I know that feeling all too well. All too well.
We did it, and you're like, we who? Who the hell is we? And Linux to a lot of people looks like work. So that's already going to cut out a lot of people. It's not like instant, and it doesn't just work out of the box. I mean, a lot of times it does, but you have to like put it onto a USB thing and install it.
If you're on Fedora, it doesn't just work out of the box. There's a lot of things you got to do to Fedora to add in some nice things, especially if you have like NVIDIA drivers and you want some other random little things working, because Fedora, they really care about licensing and patents and all this stupid shit that most distros don't.
So requiring effort, not going to work. All right, number 2. It's not really there yet when it comes to creative applications. Let's talk about a few different areas.
I don't think this matters to most people. People bring up the whole, oh, it doesn't have Photoshop. They don't use Photoshop. Oh, it doesn't support this application or that application. You don't use that application. There's a lot of people that like to bring up the whole idea of Linux not supporting certain applications, but they don't use them anyway. That's why I use Nabara instead of vanilla Fedora. Yeah, that's why Nabara exists. Like, part of the reason, because GE didn't want to keep having to fix Fedora to make it suitable for gaming. That's one of the main reasons for it.
Blender, I haven't tried it myself, but everyone tells me that Blender works pretty well. So
it works perfectly.
Maybe, but a lot of the other applications that coincide with that, maybe they work, maybe they don't. If you need the Adobe suite because you work at a company that has the Adobe suite, well, not really going to be a thing. So you have alternatives.
Yeah, that is the one exception for the Adobe suite stuff, right? When you actually work somewhere that needs it. Most people just want it. They're like, "Ooh, Wine. The Adobe suite's a little bit funky with Wine. I know old stuff works, and sometimes Cloud works, but it's not consistent."
A lot of people mention.
At least the last time I checked. Maybe it's better now.
And I will die on this hill. I believe that people who continually recommend GIMP are either extremely certain personality types who really work with the interface, or they don't use it and they just have been trained to like mention GIMP every time anyone says Photoshop.
GIMP is good enough for the average person. Like, if you're someone who just wants to edit images, GIMP is perfect. GIMP does everything you need. If you're someone who needs Photoshop, GIMP is useless. Like, if you're someone who just wants to like edit some screenshots, make YouTube thumbnails, things like that, like, you can use GIMP. But if you need Photoshop, you need Photoshop. Like, there's no getting around that. I think the newest version that works in Wine for Photoshop is CC 2016. Okay.
You're better off with Photopea, Krita, I don't know.
Actually true.
Not.
Photopea is pretty good.
I can't handle the interface. When it comes to video editing, well, we've got Kden Live over here, and that's...
We do have Kden Live, that is true.
really the best thing going. There's DaVinci Resolve, and people immediately started saying like, oh, the codecs, there's codec issues. So I thought that was going to be the thing to do, but then I realized, without the codecs, that's going to be rough, especially with.
It's in the free version you have codec issues. In the paid version, it's not an issue. I don't know how much is DaVinci. DaVinci Resolve. How the fuck do I buy it? $4.95, not $495. 400. Okay, that's Australian dollars. Yeah, like 300 US then. Yeah, if you pay for it, it's fine. If you don't pay for it, yes, you have codec issues. Absolutely. Because DaVinci doesn't use a lot of the stuff that Kdenlive uses, a lot of the like open source reimplementations of those codecs. So yeah. So it's kind of DaVinci's fault for being shit on Linux.
It doesn't have support for AAC audio, and a lot of videos or a lot of cameras and stuff, they shoot AAC audio because it sounds good. So there goes that. So photography, there's Darktable, there's a couple other open source alternatives to Lightroom.
I don't know about.
I'm sorry, nothing's on Lightroom's level. So for creatives, and then don't even get me started on music, because like just the audio on Linux, the latency is much worse than Windows or Mac OS.
I disagree on that. If you're doing Pipewire Pulse stuff, yes. If you're doing Jack, no. No, Jack is good. Jack's usually not set up out of the box, though. That's the problem. Once you have Jack going, you can do audio production on Linux. Like, at least the latency part's not an issue. The other stuff, that's a problem. But the latency part, that's not an issue anymore.
It just doesn't have the same level of support when it comes to just audio, just straight up audio. And then on top of that, a lot of the DAWs will work, which are the digital audio workstations. A lot of those will work on Linux, but a lot of the plugins, especially the like the premium plugins, a lot of those won't work. So that's the.
I don't know enough about that. I know Umpha does all of his music stuff on Linux. He is absolutely the best person to speak to when it comes to any music stuff on Linux. Like, he's the Linux music guy. If there's anybody who knows about dealing with music, it is this beautiful man over here. Okay, that's this beautiful man over here. Is he still making videos? I assume he is. When was the last video? Okay, he hasn't made a video in a while. But yeah, no, he is absolutely the best person when it comes to Linux audio stuff.
The other reason.
Or Linux music stuff specifically.
Reason number 3, offices and Microsoft Office. A lot of the world relies on Microsoft Office, and this is what we have over here on Linux. This is the primary thing. LibreOffice, which is a fine Office thing, but a lot of people are like, no, I gotta have the exact thing.
The problem with LibreOffice isn't the problem with LibreOffice. The problem is, if you're at a business, a lot of companies rely on macros. How you doing, Oyster? Welcome. A lot of companies rely on giant macro suites. And, like, a good example of this, right? My housemate works in the mines. They have, like, a thing for Excel where they've got, like, a form template. And they want images in that template in a certain way. So rather than having people manually place the images into the template, because that's annoying, it takes a lot of time, they have a... I think they've written, what is it, VB? I think it's VB.net for, was it VB.net for Office applications or whatever they call it? And basically it takes those images, auto formats them, auto resizes them, or is it VBA? Whatever, Visual Basic Applications, that's what it is, yeah. So it's a macro written in whatever stupid language they use, and it auto formats the images into the correct format. And yeah, you could do it without that. And yeah, there are macros in LibreOffice. But the problem is, when you have a company that's been around for 10 years, right? And they have 10 years of macros, that conversion is very difficult. Like, I get why a company wouldn't want to move over. The document part is perfectly fine. There's a bit of incompatibility because Word doesn't actually perfectly follow the docx standard. They kind of add some additional things into it, which is a problem. Because the document standard, is docx open? Or is it The other one, or is it just dock that's open? I'm pretty sure docx is an open standard. And maybe like they have a modified. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is an open standard. Yeah. There's an open standard. Dock is open. Docx reverse engineered. I think I could be mistaken. It's been a while since I've looked into it. Oh no, there's an ISO standard for it. Yeah, there's definitely an ISO standard for it. So the problem is it's a very complex standard. That's the main issue.
I gotta have, there's for some reason, whatever reason it is. So I mean, there's answers to everything here, and these things will open up Word documents and Excel documents and all that. They'll open
with a
that
bit of
stuff
formatting
up.
issues.
Oh, what's this? I guess this is like publisher. I don't know. I don't use the Office stuff that much, but there's alternatives. But if you need Office, well, then you're just kind of stuck on Windows or Mac, and that's.
Office for the web. I wish Office for the web was as good as the desktop version. Doc was proprietary. Okay, you got it backwards. Right. Yeah, it's an open standard. They just made it complicated as fuck. I also think they implemented it as well. I'm pretty sure there are intentional mistakes in their implementation that make it harder to have compatibility. Office 365 is okay, but there's a lot of stuff in Office 365 that is completely broken or completely missing. Like, the last time I used it, equations didn't work properly. And there are a bunch of other random stuff that just isn't there. If they made it to the point where it was fully identical, like let's say they get to the point where where they just get rid of the desktop version and 365 is the only version. At that point, this argument's going to go away. We're just not at that point yet.
A lot of the corporate world is going to be stuck that way, and a lot of the corporate world, you know, they have other reasons for being
Google
stuck
stuff is a
on
mess
Windows
as well.
Or Mac OS, mostly Windows. And that brings me to the
drivers,
next thing.
especially old drivers.
With a lot of corporations, but it's drivers. So a lot of companies are running some really esoteric or very old hardware, and they just don't have drivers available for Linux. And that's why a lot of the world still runs on like Windows XP or even older stuff.
If we're talking about old systems that are not even on modern Windows, that stuff's never going to move. Like that's just a problem. Full stop. Because that stuff doesn't work on modern Windows. No, we're not talking about like old AMD drivers or stuff like that. We're talking about like weird esoteric hardware where you're talking about like modern laptops that have serial ports, things like that. Like really stupid devices that you would never use as a regular person, but are still being used in like specific industries. Or like weird medical equipment that only runs on a 12-year-old version of Windows on Service Pack 1 on this specific update. Yeah, corporate BS stuff. Exactly, yeah. For regular users, it's less of a problem. A lot less of a problem.
Like Windows 3.1 or whatever, like I think it was Southwest Airlines recently when there was that huge bug and everything went down. Well, they were just fine because I think they were using either Windows XP or 2000 or maybe it was Windows 3.1. I don't remember. They were using like some ridiculously old...
There are a lot of cash registers that run on XP or even older. Like not that long ago, I saw a cash register running OS2. Like a couple of years ago, running OS2. So, yeah.
Old operating system for a lot of their stuff. A lot of the old stuff, they're just not drivers available for Linux. So that's going to limit some people when it comes to stuff that interests us, you know, like not in the corporate world, maybe like gaming and whatever. Well, AMD drivers are great. So you can use your AMD graphics cards right now on Linux.
Mostly.
NVIDIA drivers, remember Linus Torvalds with his famous, like, you know, to NVIDIA? Well, okay, NVIDIA is about to release open source drivers or make some of their drivers open source.
Incorrect. They... Jesus fucking Christ. Oh my god. How is this still going around? Okay, let me hear what the rest of you have to say here.
For the RTX series cards, so the older cards, that I think it really sucks because those would be amazing on Linux, like a older, you know, 1080 or whatever.
They open source the kernel drive, not the rest of it. Yes, that's it. Yeah, they open source. That's the other thing, right? They didn't even open source it recently. They open sourced it 2 years ago. They open sourced it 2 years ago, and now they're just using the kernel driver as their main kernel module rather than using the proprietary one. So there's actually nothing that has changed. Literally nothing changed except for what they're defaulting to.
Newer graphics cards, I'll take it. I'll take what I can get. We're gonna get open source drivers.
Oh, what a roll!
And then we'll finally be able to
fucking roll!
Play games at full speed, because right now you've got some there's some drivers available, but they are not the same speed as they are on Windows. So drivers might hold us.
Wait, what was that? Sorry.
Play games at full speed, because right now you've got some there's some drivers available, but 1080 or whatever, that would be great. But the newer graphics cards, I'll take it. I'll take what I can get. We're going to get open source drivers, and then we'll finally be able to play games at full speed, because right now you've got some there's some drivers available, but they are not the same speed as they are on Windows. So drivers might hold us back a little bit, but I think for a lot of us.
What? Wait.
Is
he talking about the... Hold up. Is he talking about the proprietary NVIDIA drivers?
Famous, to NVIDIA. Well, okay, NVIDIA is about to release open source drivers, or make some of their drivers open source for the RTX series cards. So the older cards,
that's wrong.
I think it really sucks, because those would be amazing on Linux, like a older, 1080 or whatever. That would be great. But the newer graphics cards, I'll take it. I'll take what I can get. We're going to get open source drivers, and then we'll finally be able to play games at full speed, because right now you've got some there's some drivers available, but they are not the same speed as they are on Windows. So drivers might hold.
I'm not... Wait, is he saying the proprietary NVIDIA drivers are much slow? I don't think they are. I don't think they are. That doesn't sound correct to me. And benchmarks that I've seen indicate they're within a couple of percent. Not major drawbacks. And a lot of that is going to be from having the additional translation layers.
Us back a little bit, but I think for a lot of us, that's not going to be too big of a deal.
If he's talking about the existing open source drivers, the shit ones, what the fuck are they called? Open source NVIDIA drivers, the actual open source ones, the community ones, the reverse engineered ones. Novo, thank you. Yeah, those are bad because those didn't have Vulkan support. So that was a problem. Modding. Okay, modding's a big one.
Okay, next up is game modding, and this is something I want to look into a little bit more. I just haven't had time because I'm working on it.
Why is it in the video?
A little thing, a little game. So I've been doing that and doing all these videos and stuff. But I want to play around with some game modding on Linux and just see how it is. I'm going to start off with Baldur's Gate 3 and just see how it is to mod that. I'll have to figure out how to get Mod Organizer or Baldur's Gate 3 Mod Manager to work. Mod Organizer, where's my brain? It's on Skyrim and whatever. But then I want to try some of the Elder Scrolls games and who knows what else. See how those work with all the mods. That'll be interesting. But people who are really into game modding right now are kind of limited to Windows.
No? No. What? Wait. So he... Wait. So he started that segment by saying, I have not looked into game modding. And then ends it by saying, you can't you have to use Windows if you care about game modding. Just don't include the segment. Oh my lord. Okay, let me actually explain to you the state of game modding. So it's fine. There's actually no issues. So there are a couple of games here and there where it's a little bit wonky. Nexus is working on, the Nexus has their isn't it like an open source modding client? Is it open source or is it just... Yeah, there's a new one being worked on that has Linux support. Can't you just run the same containers as one? can't you just run it under the same containers as wine prefix? Well, the mod manager just exists basically to move files around. The mod manager doesn't actually mod the game. It handles what you would otherwise do manually. So Monster Hunter World is a game that I've modded quite extensively. And there's no issues with modding that. I just drag and drop the files. Like most games, modding them is dragging and dropping files. There are exceptions where you have to like patch binaries. In those cases, yes. If you are patching binaries, things do get weird then. But most games you're modding, you just put a file in a thing and it does the thing. Like that's pretty much all it is. I'm sure there are exceptions where it is weird, but I don't know of any, that's for sure. Well, now there is Capcom DRM moment. There's no issues with modding. On certain games temporarily, yes. But even if you take something like SM64, ROM hacking on Linux works perfectly. Yeah, when you were dealing with stuff that old, that's a bit different. But most of the time, you're not binary modding anyway. You're just sticking some files in a location. Linux doesn't come pre-installed. Yes, this goes back to the first point. People are lazy.
When I bought my computer, it just came with Windows 11, and that's what I use. I don't know about this new...
Yeah, no, it's actually Windows 7 it came with. I know, there are people in my life that still run Windows 7. It hurts me.
Angled start menu, but what can I do? That's a lot of people. This goes right back around into the first thing I mentioned, which was it takes effort. It requires effort. Well, a lot of people get their device or whatever, and whatever it comes with, that's what they're going to do.
Refund Windows Day is a fun event.
They're going to be like, well, I guess I don't know what's wrong with it. It's kind of clogged up, is what they'll say. Yeah, my device is clogged up. I better get a new one. And so they'll just have multiple devices. They're like, well, I gotta get a credit card.
This is true.
Device. And this one has Windows 10, and this one's got Windows 11, and that's just what I've got.
This is very true.
People don't even know that you can install another operating system. People are stupid.
Yeah.
All right, so
yeah.
If it doesn't come pre-installed, it's like pulling teeth to get anyone to do anything. So
yeah, this is why Microsoft has that, like, as of Windows 8, 10. What was the first Windows that had the, like, upgrade to the new version of Windows? It was 8, wasn't it? Where it, like, it just automatically let you upgrade to the next version. I think it was 8 that let you do that. Correct me if I'm wrong there. I know 10 has it. But I think it was there before 10. I'm pretty sure it was there before 10. Yeah, 8 to 8.1, but those were basically, like, the same thing. But isn't in 8.1 you could go from that up to 10? I'm pretty sure that was the case. And the reason they did that is the reason why macOS has that, where people will not upgrade if you require them to download an ISO and do all this other bullshit. You have to make it as easy as possible to make this happen. Otherwise, no one is going to do so outside the people who are like techie people. Like anyone else is just not going to touch it because they don't want to do it. Imagine rolling release Windows. Windows basically is a rolling release in a sense. It's more like a fast moving point release. Because you get like rolling updates in, but I don't know, there was that one engineer that everyone always fucking quotes where it's like, Windows 10 is going to be the last version of Windows. And then when Windows 11 came out, people were like, wait, didn't Microsoft say that Windows 10 would be the last version? No. No, they didn't. There was one engineer that said that. I carried a 7 update all the way to 11. Oh, God. People I know who are still on 7 are only about to go up to Windows 10, which ends support in a year because apps are starting to break. Yeah, that makes sense.
Install an operating system, not a thing. So until, like, you know, you can just go and get a computer with Linux on it, that's going to be a huge, huge hurdle.
Yeah, there are a couple you can buy. Like, there's obviously Linux-focused companies, and then you have companies that offer, like, Linux versions, like your XPS Developer Edition. Lenovo's got a bunch of them. But a lot of the time, these aren't in stores, right? And they're not usually the thing that's first presented to the user. Obviously, the exception if you're like System 76, Tux, what are they? What is the Tux computers, Tuxedo Computers. If you're a Linux-focused company, sure, but if you're not a Linux-focused company, usually it's like it's your like secondary offering usually, or it'd be like a toggle in the selector.
All right, next up, distro choice paralysis. And I think a lot of people who are already Linux users, they also have this problem. This is a disease. I have this disease, and I use Linux here on this computer.
Just pick one.
You know, whenever I'm goofing off in here, and it's fun. And I've unplugged my hard drive, so all my music's gone. I'll have to connect it to the network later. But yeah, choosing Fedora, I'm sitting here and I'm like, I'll have to.
I'm sorry. Did you just know when is what fucking time? Is that his actual time?
Have this problem. This is a disease. I have this disease, and I
look at the bottom right corner
here on this computer. You know, whenever I'm goofing off in here, and it's fun. And
I don't know if you can see that. It says 4:26 a.m. Is that the actual time he's recording this? Jesus fucking Christ!
My hard drive.
Go to sleep.
I'll have to connect it to the network later. But yeah, choosing Fedora.
I hope he just didn't set the clock, or it's set to like some random time zone. I hope he's not actually recording at 4:26 in the morning.
Here, and I'm like,
oh
should
my
I have
God.
chosen OpenSUSE? Should I have? Or should I have moved to some immutable thing? That's what goes on with a lot of people. And then you're like, Linux Mint? I installed Debian before, and I was like,
do you know what you do?
Stable.
Do you know what you do? You go to Google and you say top 10 Linux distros, right? This is how we do this. Okay, here's one called best 9 Linux distros. Oh my God, fuck. Okay, don't go to this one actually. Okay, I take back. Well, I want to see what's on. I have to look at this list. Okay. What is this list? Oh my Lord, this has to be AI generated. Ubuntu, sure. Yep, Fedora, sure. Manjaro, yeah. Kali Linux. Stop it. Stop. Immediately cease. Mint, fine. Alma Linux. Why? Rocky, the same thing. Asahi Linux. Why is that on this list? Also, that's not even a distro. Asahi is a patch set. Okay, go to the second option. Much better. Okay. Why is it Leap and not Tumbleweed? What you do, okay, is you go to this list, and then you go to another tab and look up random number generator 1 to 10. And then whatever the number lands on, you grab that. And then you'll be fine. And then later down the line, you look at other distros. Or better yet, you don't even roll the number. You just see Mint and you go use that one. Just stop thinking.
Stable. Really stable on my server, but all the packages are like 600 years old. And I'm like, no.
What is this talking to you about Debian?
I installed Debian before, and I was like, yay, Debian, stable. Really stable on my server, but all the packages are like...
Yeah, it's stable because it's fucking dead. Something I saw that people started referring to Debian as, instead of calling it Debian stable, call it Debian stale. Because that's basically what it is.
100 years old, and I'm like, no. So I ended up on Fedora, and I love it. It's great, but now I'm like, I don't know. I want the instant backup that comes pre-installed with OpenSUSE, or maybe I should try something even newer and even more cutting edge. Not Arch. I'm not installing Arch. People in the comments, leave me alone. I won't. I don't want to do it. If I'm gonna go down the Arch route, I'm going full Gentoo. But I don't think I have time for that. But that's the kind of person I am.
Why? Why would you? No, that's a waste of time. Don't do that. I'm sure you've gotten this already. Anyone who's look at Hyperland with the new Aquamarine backend? Maybe. I don't know. Certainly not got any direct plans for it.
I'm like, if I'm gonna go down this road, we're going Gentoo. Gentoo's package manager looks amazing.
Gentoo equals compiler fetish? Yes, it does. It's a waste of time.
I want it. I don't know.
You don't want it. Don't do it.
That's what happens.
Waste
you
of
look
time.
at all this stuff, and there's just too many flavors. With Windows, you got like 1 or 2 flavors. Really, it's just you got Windows Home, and then you got Windows Professional.
Yeah, but on Linux, you don't really have all these extra flavors. The problem is people start thinking. This is the problem. Just stop thinking, right? Don't think. Stop thinking about why is there 2,000 different distros. Stop it. Don't turn your brain off. Don't think, right? If you don't want to go to a top 10 list, go to YouTube. Look up best. You can let someone do the thinking for you. Best Linux distro 2024. Who's going to come up? Hostinger? Fine. if Gary explains, yeah, that's good. You know what? Watch this video from Nick. Yeah, do this. How long is it? 20 minutes? Yeah, watch this video from Nick. This will tell you everything you need to know. Just outsource your thinking to Nick. He has done the thinking for you.
Ice cream on top or whatever, and then you got Enterprise, which is home.
Stop thinking? Yes. No, actually stop thinking. Because when you start thinking about it, you realize there's too much going on. It's massively overwhelming. You don't need to think about it. It's not a problem. Just ignore it. Ignore the complexity and just outsource it.
Ice cream and sprinkles, it's all the same thing. And then you got server, but we're not going to talk about that. It's all the same.
Why
thing.
is Gaia root domain? I think it's been there for
server,
like.
You get Windows Server.
Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. Let me just see when that was added. I think it was like 6 years ago. Gay TLD. When was this added? 2020. I thought it was older than that. Yeah, it was added 4 years ago. I really thought it was older than that. What the fuck?
You really get Linux unless you're crazy.
I guess it just got really popular when they started using it. That makes sense.
But
Among
you
OS.
get what I'm saying.
Don't use
For
that.
someone who is new to this and they're just coming over and they're like, hey, which distro should I install? If they go onto Reddit or onto a forum and they say that, they're going to get 600 people saying 600 different things.
No, they'll get 600 people saying about 20 different things because most of the distros are just never get recommended.
I have the one person.
Also, again, just go to Nick's channel. Like you. Here's the other thing, right? You don't need to ask questions because the questions have already been answered. YouTube.
Being like, like install Linux Mint, I'm going to say probably install Fedora or look at OpenSUSE. I don't know. Look at those. Then you got the one person in the back who's like, oh, you came from Windows, Zorin OS. Install Zorin. They're just gonna be screaming.
That's not a bad idea, actually. They do have a good point.
Zorin. There's always that one person who's like, a Windows user, you're gonna love Zorin. No, don't do that.
What's up, Ren?
Send them
Oh God.
To
Oh God.
That's kind of like
what happened?
Windows, but let's not give them full training wheels. Plus, Zorin's got too much proprietary stuff. Don't do it. See, see what we're getting ourselves into right here. I'm getting myself to talk.
If you're coming from Windows, you don't care about proprietary stuff. It doesn't matter. Don't think about it. Stop thinking. Turn your brain off.
Talking to myself like a crazy person at 4 a.m. This is the way.
Every SSN in the US may have been leaked. Social security number. Oh, that's that sounds like a problem.
Goes. So there's distro choice paralysis. And I don't know if there's a real solution for that. I don't want there to be fewer distros because that's part of the beauty of it. Is there's something.
The solution is go to Nick's channel.
That's
not
the
solution.
Windows. And you have different distros that specialize in different things. That specialize in gaming. That specialize in cutting-edge packages.
Yeah, but that's a meme. All the distros are fine with gaming. A distro that here's getting a hot take, right? A distro that specializes in gaming is like a headset that specializes in gaming. You don't actually want to buy a gaming headset or use a gaming distro. What you want to use is a good distro or a good headset. You don't want to buy a gaming headset. You want to go buy yourself some fucking nice Sennheiser headphone or any of the other really well-recommended headphones. In the same case with distros, you want to just use a distro that has up-to-date packages. That is all. SSN is linked multiple times. Every system has the option to get a new SSN and get SS insurance protection. Oh Jesus, you guys are fucked.
Specialize in stability. They specialize in
multiple times. Love it.
Canonical's thing that they
wait. We're talking shit about Canonical.
Cutting edge packages that specialize in stability. That specialize in being Canonical's thing that they make very soft and Ubuntu is not as big as it used to be, right? I don't know. I'm going to tell people to install something with Plasma because I think it's very similar, but just different and innovative enough when compared to Windows. So That's what I'm gonna do. But I could make an entire video about what do we do about newbies when it comes to distro choice paralysis.
You just send them
What
to next
do
channel.
we do?
You just do that.
I don't know the answer to this
I
one.
do.
Help.
The Linux experiment.
All right, and the last reason, it requires effort. I start and I'm going to end with this one too because I really want to like push that into your brain. If you, I think a lot of people, they go out there and they're like, they kind of have an opinion of people that's not quite as misanthropic as mine, or not quite as, I don't want to say that I expect people to be extremely stupid.
That's a good expectation.
For me, when I go out there, everyone's guilty until proven innocent, everyone's stupid until proven otherwise. Hopefully they're going to open their mouth, and like when I'm at the store or whatever and I'm doing something, I'm talking to the person behind the counter, they'll open their mouth and they'll be like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And I'll be like, ah. You're interesting.
No, they
I can
won't.
see you're not an idiot. So.
No, they definitely
that's
are.
Rare these days. And I mean, I don't think
That's always been rare. People have always been
stupid.
stupid.
Stupid, like whatever. I just mean that they're kind of, people are ignorant of things. And
No,
they
I
don't
mean
wanna
they're
get too
stupid.
involved
They're
in
actually
certain things
dumbasses.
because they have other priorities in life. That's really what it's about. Like they have other things they want to do, like watch 700 Netflix shows a week. I was trying not to be too insulting, and then I did it. I was gonna be like, oh, they want to go like they're.
My guy, you have an anime torrenting website in your bookmarks. Let's not talk shit about people that watch 700 Netflix shows a week.
into kayaking or into like reading fantasy novels, which is cool and all that stuff. But no, I think a lot of people just go to their job. They're tired from their job when they get home. They don't really care as long as they can go and like check their email and do a few basic things. They don't want to.
Imagine how stupid the average person is. Remember that half of all people are even stupider than that. Yes, bell curves. We love for them. Statistics is a very undertaught subject.
Anything that requires.
Want a stable distro? Debian. Please don't. Please don't recommend Debian to people. Debian has a use case. It's not on the desktop. Unless you're using SID, in which case you should just be using Arch. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend Debian to people.
Too much effort. That's kind of okay. If they don't use Linux, that's fine. If maybe 6% of the desktop users are on Linux, I think it'll be really in a really good place. That's millions of people using all these different distributions. So I think a goal of 10% in the next few years would be realistic. And I'm having a lot of fun
Good luck with that one.
Recently, and it's, I mean, when it comes to like general use, just daily use, it's hard to find things that it doesn't do just fine. I mean, of course, when I'm doing my creative stuff and whatever, it's like, oh, I got to go back over and hop on Windows. I've still got Windows 10 on my main rig, if you're curious. But and once you really
maybe you have thoughts, Brodie. Is there a reason the default answer for newbies to Linux isn't Mint? Is there a reason? No. Should there be a reason? No. Mint is the classic recommendation. It seems like a fine recommendation to me. Like, yeah, Mint is perfectly fine. OBS, Open Source Tumbleweed is just better Arch. Fair enough, yeah. Mint if you don't use NVIDIA. I don't know what the I know that Luke had issues ages back. Honestly, my recommendation would just be Ubuntu. And if you don't like GNOME, use Kubuntu. Like, again, people think too much about it. Like, oh, is gaming gonna work? Gaming's gonna work on everything. Is this gonna work? It's gonna work on everything. Is it gonna be the best situation? No, but you can always change. Mint's NVIDIA drivers are outdated. Okay, right, that's fair. Right. And like, if you stick in the Ubuntu ecosystem, there's just a lot of people that have talked about issues. So we need Ubuntu without canonical or snaps. That would be nice. Fuck snaps. True, brother.
Edit Windows, it's pretty tolerable. I mean, I like it quite a bit with retro bar
That's
installed
just
on the
Debian.
bottom, which is an alternative taskbar. So
Ubuntu is based on Debian testing, Debian SID, not slow Debian.
Anyway, that's where we're going to leave this. Are there other things that you think keep people away from Linux? I'm curious. Like,
it's not obviously as fast as SID, but it's faster than
the
it's faster than
jab against like
Debian.
Linux. But I don't think that it ends up being that way. I think it's like, I don't know, I think it's more of a comment on the state of humanity in general. Because, yeah, if everyone used Linux, then all the programs would work on Linux, and we wouldn't be in this mess in the first place. Where now we have to, like, deal with an operating system that is very
Why does an XP style start icon?
towards
Don't
its customer
think about
base.
it.
I'm talking about Windows.
Don't think about
anyway, so let me know what you think. I'm very curious. I'm sure there'll be some comments down there. And don't forget, we are clearing off my shelves back here behind me. I really like this picture. These are all real pieces of hardware. Anyway, that's enough about that.
That's all.
Picture.
That would be fucking uncomfortable. Wait, if that's all real hardware, that's a wildly uncomfortable photo. Holy shit. Like, there's a heatsink digging into her shoulder there. All of this stuff is sharp as hell. Her hair probably got stuck on some of the stuff when she tried to get up. Man, that would be a fucking awful photo to have to do.
Real pieces of hardware. Anyway, that's enough about that photo shoot. But remember, we have half price on our shirts with Shirtly Not coupon. And then I have half price on the controller, and half price on this 3360 based mouse, and half price on this water resistant, beverage resistant. It'll resist all your beverages. And it's also got, well, it's got membrane keys. It's the mother membrane, but they feel really good. Trust me.
I bet they do.
And found this keyboard myself to find like the best membrane keys I could find because they're nice and quiet. I really like that.
I bet they feel
I like
nice.
membrane keys if they're nice and quiet.
Why?
All right. Anyway. All that stuff is
to be fair, I'm a Scissor Switch fan, so I can't talk too much shit.
In the description. Head on over to epicpants.com. And thanks again to Pork Bun for sponsoring. Bye, everybody.
Well, that was a video. Let's see what people in the comments said. My dude, you need to do a Klingon cause. Okay, that's nonsense. The reason is most people don't have a reason to start using Linux. Actually true. You're right on the first point, but for the wrong reasons. It's not people being lazy or whatever. It's just a matter of motivation. Here's my thought on motivation. If you need to be motivated, you don't want to do it. If there's something you actually want to do, you're going to do it without being motivated. If Linux was actually useful to people, most people would be using it. Actually true. Linux is a hobby. It's a nice screwdriver, but not enough screws where it fits in. One, I don't want to use a terminal. Oh my god, the terminal point's never going to leave, is it? The terminal point is never going to leave. Like, you don't have to use a terminal 99% of the time.